Hey Animal Chiropractic friends, Dr. Amy Hayek here, President and co-founder of Animal Chiropractic Education Source. Let's talk a little bit about these new norms that we're seeing or thinking that we're seeing. Now, let's face it, there are different things that talk about it. It takes 3 weeks of consistent activity to create a new habit. Or it takes 3 months. Or it takes, I don't know, we think in threes, in part because our brain thinks in threes. We like to hold 3 numbers together in our brain. That's an easier pattern for us to remember. If you've got more than 3 things to go to the grocery store for, you better write it down because you'll forget what those are. There won't be 3 of them. So, that said, that's one of the old patterns that we will be holding on to. Let's think about some of the other new norms that we're talking about. So in terms of new norms, and I put air quotes around those because really it's just things that we will accept as different from our current pattern. But I think many of us all over the world, not just me, have been establishing new norms in their lives on a regular basis. And I think that there is an underlying crowd of people who like their regular patterns. And so those regular patterns allow them to have a lot of stability in their lives. Those regular patterns allow them to feel calm. Those regular patterns allow them to feel safe in their lives. Animals do the same things. And here's the interesting part. Even though we humans may think that we're establishing a new norm, our animals will adapt to it more slowly. They will continue to have their current patterns, and even though they may change, like with daylight savings time, they may change what appears to be the time of day. That's something we chose. They are still getting up at the same time that they always do relative to the earth and the sun and the moon. So their patterns are still those that are established by the environment, of which we are a part. So we are not exclusive from our environment. We are a literal part of our own environment, and there is a communication going on with it all the time. And what sparks that communication, what allows that good communication to happen for all of us, comes from within and communicates with those things outside. And when we don't have that spark inside that communicates with things outside, we deteriorate automatically. That's just how it is. And so one of the best ways to keep that spark inside in connection with and communication with the outside environment, or what we consider outside, it's not really, but that's a little more esoteric or philosophical than I want to talk about right now, is that chiropractic adjustment. So the chiropractic adjustment, especially in our animals, helps to keep them in their norm. And when we see them out of their norm and we adjust them, they get better. People do the same thing. They're much more able to stay within their norm. For those people who feel not so well right now, it's difficult to stay in what we consider our norm. And for those people who are not used to their pattern being to stay at home, their regular pattern is to leave, to go someplace, to go do something, to go see other people. That pattern has been disrupted. But if we step back and take a look at the fact that even though that pattern has been disrupted, we still have a particular pattern around us. We still have an environment around us with which we can communicate. And if we can begin to communicate more closely with our internal environment and communicate more closely with our local environment, I think what we're going to find is that there is an opportunity here for a better total environment. We're hearing stories already about how the canals in Venice are clearing up and the dolphins are coming back, and people in some areas are starting to see more birds in their town and more wildlife. Well, that's just because every ecosystem, every environment is a void until it's full with life. And when that life is there, it balances out. And if one life form, us, reduces our traffic in an area, another life form takes over. And you know what? The same thing happens with the bacteria and viruses in our bodies. If one life form is reduced, another life form takes up that space. And so part of the pattern that we're seeing, or the pattern changes that we're seeing, are simply shifts in traffic. Or we're going less places, so other things are going more. And over time, it's all going to become a different traffic pattern. There was a time when, I'm going to turn around so you guys can see the valley, when this valley that is below the house, when this valley was probably shoulder to shoulder with bison, buffalo, and they probably grazed through here annually, and they were followed by the same kind of pattern of deer, and before them it was saber-toothed tigers and elephants. You know, this earth is a continually changing pattern. And so what we think of as an abrupt disruption in our pattern is really not that big of a disruption in the total pattern of everything that goes on. As a matter of fact, many of us, our patterns haven't changed that much. Maybe they've slowed down a little or become more solid as a pattern rather than being hurried through. And so I want you to just take some time today to think about, what patterns are you establishing that you want to keep? Maybe you're spending a little more time with meditation because you've got more time. Do you want to keep that pattern even after you're allowed to go back to work or go out shopping or go hang out at Starbucks? What patterns are you allowed to keep that you want to keep? And what patterns did you have before that you recognize now were not as healthy and that you want to get rid of? And also, what patterns are you establishing now that you don't want to keep? For instance, being too isolated, not communicating with your environment enough. That includes other people, that includes animals, it includes the outdoors, it includes the grass, all those things. What of those things are you not communicating enough with now that you want to communicate more with? And of course, one of the best ways to be able to communicate with that environment is to get that chiropractic adjustment, because that allows our systems, that allows our bodies to be able to communicate most effectively. We can communicate then through not just physical aspects, but through hormones, through how we interact, through better behavior, all those things. So I hope this has been interesting and helpful. If you like this video, share it. And if you like this video, like my Facebook page, be a friend, and you'll hear a few more like this. As an animal chiropractic instructor, I recommend that all veterinarians and chiropractors take this time to consider becoming an animal chiropractor so that you can connect with that environment that surrounds you in a better way and help it to connect better with you. If you have yet to add animal chiropractic to your practice, please visit us at animalchiropracticeducation.com. If you are looking for an animal chiropractor for your animals, most animal chiropractors are still practicing right now because they are essential. There are many things that the chiropractic adjustment does to help with emotional and health behaviors of animals that keep those animals in our lives and help with our mental health as well. And if you need to find one, you can find one on our alumni page at animalchiropracticeducation.com. Thanks for joining me today.